want to talk to you about my rough draft that I wrote. And you should have done the questions under it. And so list and mark three things you notice about my selection of detail. And why do you think I would have included that? What do you notice about how I organized it? What could I change? And how might this help the reader? And then any other rhetorical choices that I've made. So you should have turned that in by now. And so this is sort of like the answers. And I want to talk to you about this essay. So if you look over here, I have a lot of annotations. And when you turn in your final draft, it's going to look like this. You're going to have these annotations over here as well, because this is your writing. It's not mine. This is your personal belief. And so you're going to be the one that sort of picks it apart, and you're going to tell me, why do things work the way you do? Because there might be some things on here where you're like, I don't like that, Mrs. Hermanson. And you know what? That's okay, because it's mine. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean you can turn in whatever you want, but that's why we have the annotation. So if you have a fragment, I want to know why you think that fragment is okay to have. So I decided, after you read all those introductions, I decided to start with something really direct because my belief is kind of weird. And I just thought a more direct belief would be better. And then I do get into an anecdote later of my childhood. And then from in the middle, my essay moves chronologically. I start with child, and then I start 2 decades later, so like in my 20s, and then another decade later in my 30s when I reflect back. Okay, so in the middle is chronological, but in the beginning I'm pretty direct. I believe in laundry. It's there, a constant, never done. Here I have a fragment. You're going to find I have a lot of fragments in here, and the reason for my fragments is because I believe that when people are really emotional, they are more likely to have scattered thoughts and fragmented thoughts. And this was also just a very fragmented time in my life. We didn't know what each day would bring or exactly what was going on sometimes. And so the fragmented sentences work for me, I believe. Okay. So I describe laundry. It can hinder my footsteps or go unnoticed. But either way, you guys, as much as I hate laundry, actually, there's things that are good about laundry. It's always there. And it's easy to do. Out of all the things you do in your life, folding laundry is an easy thing, right? And it can be understood. It's measurable. When it's done, you know it's done. It's not like many other things that we do. So then I have this anecdote, childhood, and I wanted to make my anecdote as personal as possible. And so I wanted to describe some things about my mom in this very short essay. So she lightly ascended. My mom was not like a heavy walker, or she didn't make like clicky noises when she walked. She could like lightly walk into a room. She had a certain spot on the couch. Here's some more, another detail, jammies. I didn't say pajamas, right? Which is the right word, because we didn't call them pajamas in my house. We called them jammies or jams. So it wouldn't be sincere if I said pajamas, because this is my essay. My mom had a certain way she always sat on the couch. She'd like tuck her feet under her. She was always kind of sitting on her knees. Here's actual names of TV shows. All right. I didn't want to just say TV. I wanted to paint a picture. And then I actually even, anytime you can add in a detail to help paint an anecdote, I even do that orange bottle of Era instead of just saying laundry detergent or detergent. I remember exactly like the same brand of laundry detergent that we always bought. Okay. And then the other thing that I noticed that I did is I do a lot with breath. You breathe in the scent of laundry. My mom's labored breath upstairs. And then I come back to the breathing at the end, with the breathing and laundry and the safety of routine. I mentioned control, this idea that laundry is something I can control twice. And there's a big tone shift. Okay, so I have sort of like this very sweet anecdote, and then you don't really know where this essay is going, right? It started kind of weird with the laundry, and then there's a tone shift here, like the furniture was temporarily replaced with glaringly white hospital bed and whistling machines. And then I changed the breathing. Okay, breathing in the fresh scent of laundry seems so sweet and positive. And then I have my mom's breathing upstairs, the labored breath. She breathes in labored breath. So there's that tone shift. I have a direct quote, and I wanted to include my aunt's name. I didn't want to say aunt. I wanted it to be more personal. That was a choice that I made with my selection of detail. Um, and then I do a lot with my syntax in this next paragraph. Again, I'm going back to that like the choppiness. I feel it's more emotional. And then I have life doesn't stop, staccato sentence. That summer, the world kept moving when I begged, even pleaded for it to stand still and give me time to understand, time to hold on. So then I switched it to a long sentence because the world kept moving on, right? So moving on. Then I have a fragment again. A lot of people think a fragment is just like a short phrase. The reason this is a fragment is because it's missing a subject. Who's holding on? Like it's implied I'm holding on, but it's not grammatically correct. And then I have a bunch of fragments here, regardless of the doctors, regardless of the machines, regardless of dad's pacing, it was still there. I have anaphora. I go back to smells. There's a lot of smells in here. The scent of babies and remorse. That's actually one of my favorite rhetorical devices. It's called zeugma. And zeugma, and you don't have to know this, it's trivia, all right? Zeugma is when you have one word that can apply to two things. And usually it's a verb, okay? But the verb here applies to two nouns. So the scent of babies and the scent of remorse. And then the second thing is like an abstract thing. Obviously, remorse doesn't really smell, all right? And then it moves on. I go back to this idea of control, and here I try to make my belief more clear. The piles of laundry force us to physically move one motion at a time until our emotions can go beyond laundry and into the rest of life. Okay, so my belief is that we rely on, and we should rely on, very small, mundane things when our life is falling apart. And those small, mundane things can actually keep us going. And because they're routine, right? And they're things that we can control and measure. And then I go back to the breathing at the end. All right, so you guys are probably thinking, wait a second. So I have to have all these rhetorical devices. You guys, you're going to be able to, if you write about something you truly care about and you just sit down and write, you're going to look back and be surprised, pleasantly surprised. Like you're going to have so many of these things. There were so many of these things I didn't realize that I had done until I had students point them out to me. Okay, I didn't notice the zeugma, to be honest, until a kid pointed that out to me. Okay, and all of like the breathing that goes on in here. So you're gonna kind of do these things naturally, and it's gonna be super. It's gonna be you're gonna love it. It's gonna be super cool. You can do this. Because we've been working on this all year. It's like, what are you doing to convey your voice? How are you organizing for your audience? What are you doing with your syntax, and why does it make sense for like what you're trying to convey at that time? I'm trying to convey emotion in here. And emotions are not like these perfect little like 9-word sentences all the time, right? They can be fragmented, they can be really long, and so forth. So when you turn in your final draft, in fact, if you want to start even doing this on your rough draft, kind of start marking, well, I decided to organize it this way because I think it makes sense here. Okay. So I just wanted to show you like some of the stuff in mine that like counts, so to speak, as rhetorical choices. Okay. If you have any questions, concerns, please reach out. Otherwise, enjoy writing this week. I am so looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Okay, talk to you later.